Bismillah. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina rasulillah nabiyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walahu amma ba'd. Okay. So as usual, inshallah, we're gonna how much is the frame?
The whole thing. You right now and the
Till the board, right? So if I go like this,
it's still in.
okay. So where do I start? Here?
Out. Now you're out.
Okay, good. Okay. Bismillah. Okay, so we're gonna start, inshallah. We're gonna make dua as usual, Palestine, and then we're gonna start, inshallah. Okay. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت إنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في غزة. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في غزة. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في غزة. اللهم كن لهم عونا ونصيرا ومؤيدا وظهيرا. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. فارحم حيهم وميتهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم وأكرم نزولهم وأوسع مدخلهم وغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقهم من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم عليك بأعدائك يا رب العالمين. اللهم عليك بأعدائك يا رب العالمين. اللهم زلزل الأرض من تحت أقدامهم. اللهم ألق الرعب في قلوبهم. اللهم ألق الرعب في قلوبهم. اللهم مزقهم كل ممزق. اللهم مزقهم كل ممزق. اللهم انصرنا عليهم يا رب العالمين. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد. Okay, Bismillah. So today we're going to finish places of articulation. So today we're going to finish the last part of what we've been working on throughout this semester. I think now 5 classes, 4 classes, 5 classes, this is 5th. So alhamdulillah, in 5 classes we finished the whole thing, which is good. I think good pace. So we're going to finish the last places of articulation, and then we're going to go into sifat, into what properties are, okay? Okay. So, place for articulation, we said we have general places of articulation and we have specific places of articulation. We finished al-jawf, we finished throat, we finished tongue, we finished the lips, right? Actually, no, we didn't finish the lips actually. The lips and the nose is today, so the actual thing is wrong. It should be lips and nose. So this is wrong, but okay. So we didn't finish the lips, so we're gonna finish it today, inshallah. And then we're gonna finish the nose as well. And there's just 2 specific makharij and 1 specific makharij, which is very small. And then we're about lam, right? And we said the lam is the tip of the sides of the tongue, right? Starting from the premolar to the tip, right? From both sides. Okay? So the closest part of the edge, the side, with what corresponds with it from the upper palate, from the premolar to the incisor gums. Okay. Then we talked about the noon, and we spent a lot of time on the noon. So the noon, we said it has 50% from the mouth and 50% from the nose. So we said that the noon is not fully from the mouth and it's not fully from the nose. And what did we say? We said, okay, let's try to do it only from the nose and not move the mouth. What did we get? And when we tried to not make no nose at all, what did we do? And what happened? The sound gets completely blocked, right? Now when we combine the tongue with the nose, what do we get? And we get the full sound. Okay? And we talked here and we said al-ghunna صوت يخرج إيه? As a sound. Yeah, this used to happen. It's a sound that gets emitted from the nose, from the nasal cavity, right? So the ghunna is simply a sound that gets that gets emitted from the nasal cavity. We also talked about as the old thing that I forget to remove. We basically said what actually happens. How does the sound come from the nose? How does it actually come from the nose? We basically said that this muscle is relaxed. That this muscle is relaxed, right? And the sound goes through this area, from the back, and into the nose, and the sound goes from the nose, and that's how the nasal sound comes about. Okay. We talked about the ra, and we talked about the takrir. So we talked about the rrr. Is that part? Do we actually do it, or we actually don't do it? Right. So we talked about this this part, and we talked about if we should remove it or we should not remove it. And we said, my sheikh said, how many ra's do you have? You have only one ra, right? Only one takrir. You only hit once, especially with sukoon. You only hit once, okay? And we talked about that the heavy ra, the back of the tongue goes up. And we're going to talk about this in properties, inshallah. So we talked about the gap, and that's how we stop the clear. The ta, the dal, and the ta, we talked about it's from the tip of the tongue. We talked about the ta is the ta, the back of tongue goes up. We talked about the differences between them, and we talked about how the dal and the ta differs. We said the dal and the ta differ because of the vibration of the vocal cord. Then we talked about the sad, the zay, and the sin. Similar idea. The difference between sin and zay is the vocal cord. We said as no vocal cord, and once I add the vocal cord, what happened? Once I add the vocal cord, the letter changes into zay or sin, and that means that the letter it has exactly the same place for articulation. The sin and the sad, sin and the zay has exactly the same place of articulation. And we said the sad is just a heavy sin. The last thing, dha and tha, and we talked about it. I don't think we're going to go through it one more time. Okay? Just quick review, and now we begin. Okay? Bismillah. Okay, let's go. So now we have the lips. The first special place of articulation of the lips is the fa, f, f. Okay? So, how is the fa pronounced? Simple. The inner lower lips with the tips of the central incisors. The lower inner lip. How do I know what's inner and what's outer? Just close your mouth. Okay? Close your mouth. Normally, what's inner is that part, that part, and the outer part. Okay? So the inner part of that, the lips, with the upper central incisors, with the tips of the upper central incisors, creates the letter of fa. فَجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً فَجْعَلْ F. Okay? You can easily see the inner lip right there with the central incisor. Does that make sense? Khalas? So the fa is very easy. Okay? This I heard this before, that the F, the letter F, you don't fully go to the inner lip. The letter F. When you say F, it's a little higher up and you kind of touch the outer lip. You say F. Okay? I think you obviously can say F inside using the inner lip, but generally, and I heard this before, and I think it's kind of true, that when you say the letter F, you actually use a bit of the outer tip as well. Okay? But that doesn't matter, it's not important. The most important part here is that the fa is the inner lip, is the inner lip with the central incisors. Okay? Now, the waw. The waw, the ba, and the meme. All of them is only the lips. So the waw, the ba, ab, the meme, So all of them are the lips. Okay. So we have the waw, the meme, and the ba, come from the same special makhraj, which is only the lips. The fa on its own, why? Because we use the teeth as well. So the fa is on its own, right? Okay. Wow. Look at wow here. Wow. You just circle your lips. That's it. But what's interesting about the wow? We said the dot in the first class when we talked about the mudud, the alif maddiyah, the waw maddiyah, the ya maddiyah. And we talked about how do I make a fatha? How do I make a kasra? How do I make a dhamma? What did we say? We said you want to make a dhamma? Make a waw and shorten it. Because the dhamma is the daughter of waw. So if I want to say dhamma, I say ku, 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 ku. So I do the makhraj of the waw. If I want to do a dhamma, this we said in the first class, second class, that if I want to do a dhamma, I do the makhraj of the parent of the dhamma. What's the parent of the dhamma? The parent of the dhamma is the waw. So I say ku, ku. Now, what do some people say? Some people say alhamdulillah, dolil, do, alhamdu, dolil. Is it alhamdulillah or is it hamdulil? You hear a lot of reciters recite Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Dolillahi Rabbil Hamdu, do. It's not do, it's do. The whole point is circling your lips. If you don't circle your lips enough, you will not get the sound correctly. So if you say Alhamdu, do, that's not enough. Do. That's why the waw is important. Even though it's very easy, I can explain. What's the waw? Circle your lips. Done. But the importance of the waw is because it's important for the haraka. Fatha, kasra, and dhamma, right? Okay. Let's talk about this a bit more. We talked about it in the first class, but I want to remind people. Why is fatha, kasra, dhamma important? Because every letter that's not sukoon has these sounds. So if you perfect these sounds and make them sound proper, your qira'ah just jumps. So I can recite. I say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sounds good, right? Now let me improve the fatha kasra dhamma and see what it sounds like. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. More clarity. It sounds more proper. You hear the dhamma. The first one sounds like this. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Hamdulil, hamdu, do, lil. Second one sounds hamdu, lil. Hamdu, lil, hamdu, lil. All I did is what? I circled my lips a little bit more. And I said the dhamma correctly. Does that make sense? Or is the example a little too confusing? Make sense? Yeah? So all I did here is I perfected the letter of fatha kasra dhamma. That's why perfecting the alif, perfecting the ya, perfecting the waw is very important. Because if I, where's the waw? Okay. If I perfect this sound, I perfect the dhamma. If I perfect this sound, I perfect the kasra. If I perfect this sound, I perfect the fatha. If I perfect these three, I'm automatically elevated in my qira'ah, immediately. You will be so surprised that most people's problems in qira'ah is these three. You'd also be surprised that most people's problems is alif. Alhamdulillah, lillah, lillah. Accents. You get some accents. So you get some you get different accents, and he doesn't know what to do with his mouth. He's like Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Right? Egyptian would be Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. It sounds, if somebody's reciting and somebody Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, you'll not be like, oh, okay, he's a good reciter. Not bad. Terrible. Why? Because the alif has a bit of a ya in it. Alhamdulillah. What is it? What is this? No, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. If I only fix alif, I fix the fatha. Then I have my recitation well. I fix the waw, I fix the dhamma. That's why these three letters are so important to get down. Khalas? And you'll be surprised. High level Qurra, they're relaxing on the kasra. They say le, do not do li. They'll say lillahi, lil, 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 lil. They will not say lil, lil, lil. Some people say do, do, do. No, do. Alhamdulillah, do lillah, do. This may be so nitpicking, but when it gets accumulated throughout the qira'ah, you hear it. Even a layperson hears it. Like if I recite to you 7 ayat with good fatha kasra dhamma and 7 ayat with not good fatha kasra dhamma, you'll be like, this one is better. I'll tell you why is it better. This ayat, I understand why is it coming from.
Is it okay to smile when you're doing the ya sound?
I don't like smiling when doing that. So a lot of people say smile when doing the kasra. Why? When you smile, what's the makhraj of ya? If anybody remembers actually. Anybody remembers? Makhraj of ya. Jim and sheen and ya. Hint. Huh? You remember? You remember, right? No? So the makhraj of ya, the place of articulation of ya, is the middle of the tongue, right? We said it's the middle of the tongue. When you smile, making the middle of the tongue go up is much easier. The middle of the tongue goes up easier. So when you smile, it's actually easier to go to the middle of the tongue. This to me is a crutch. And it sounds bad too. It has bad sounds as well. So don't do it. Khalas? Alameen, no, I can do alameen, een. I can move the middle of the tongue without anything like that. Okay? Make sense? Okay? So I just wanted to stop here for the alif, fatha, kasra, dhamma. Does that make sense? The fatha, kasra, dhamma stuff? Yeah? Okay? One more thing I want you to notice. The waw, the back of the tongue goes up. We said when you want to do a heavy letter, khalidin, you want to make the back of tongue, what do? You make the back of tongue goes up. But the waw is not a heavy letter. Some people do another crutch. What do? They can't get their back of tongue going up. They can say khalid. They can't do khalid. So what do? Khalid. Why? Because when you do dhamma alone, the back tongue goes up, so it helps you. Like the smile with the kasra. Okay? But this is again nitpicking. No need for that. Okay? Make sense? But I used to do that crutch. So I used to do heaviness like this. خالدين فيها ولا الضالين. No. I used to do that. Why? I used to give some dhamma, the back of tongue will go up automatically. I push it up a little more, I got my heaviness. I should be able to move the back of the tongue without any of these problems, okay? I could say, ولا الضالين. I'm pushing the back of my tongue up. I can put it up and down without needing my lips. Same thing with the ya. I should go up and down with my ya without needing to smile. Okay? Make sense? A lot of information, you can forget everything. All remember is that the waw, circle your lips. You don't need all what I just said. The most important thing, the waw, circle your lips, okay? The ba and the meme. Okay. The ba and the meme, both of them are the lips, right? Ab. So close the lips. The meme, you also close the lips. What's the difference? The nose. Okay? The difference is the nose. So the meme. Try to say the meme and close your nose. The sound gets closed. Same thing as ba. Ba, if you close without doing the thing, it gets closed completely. So the difference between the meme and the ba is the meme has a nose part. So sound goes. Where's the meme? Yeah. So sound goes Actually, this is actually a beautiful picture. Look at this one. Look how here, at the meme, the sound can go from here to the nose, and how the ba is completely blocked. Notice that? Here the ba is completely, remember when we were talking about the noon and the gunna? What did we say? The gunna is the sound that goes from the back and goes through the nose. Here the meme, you see in the picture, he actually noticed it. The person who did the picture, he actually noticed it. I'll come back to that quickly. He actually noticed it. So he actually noticed that in the meme, you have to keep that area open. Why? If this area is not open, the sound does not flow and you don't get that sound. So the difference between and the difference between these two is that this area is blocked. Okay? Make sense? Okay? Any questions? I think it's very easy. I talked about a lot, but all the things you need to remember. The wow, you just close, you circle your lips. The ba in the meme, you close your lips, and the meme has a nose part. That's it. Very simple. I'm adding you all these small, like tangents, to try to connect it in your head. If you can't connect it in your head, over time it's gonna come, because we're gonna go into properties and we're gonna go severely through that. Okay? Okay. Okay. Why is it doing like this? It's look, my hand is like the thing. Okay, fine. The last thing is the nose, and the nose is the same thing again. What is the nose? Comes from it one sound. What is the sound? Gunna. 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 What is gunna? Is a sound that comes from the nose. What happens? The arrows are here very clear. Sound goes from here. This thing is not blocked. This thing is not blocked. Sound comes up. So, hazm. When I say other letters other than nun and meme, I have nasalization. The point is to block this place. How do I? This is a muscle, right? So the more you play with this muscle, the more you can block it. So people are saying, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. The whole thing is nasalized. How do I stop it? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? So somehow, we have to train these muscles, and we talked about techniques last time about how to do that, okay? Close? I don't want to go through it again. Close? Make sense? Everybody happy? Any questions? Okay. Is the gunna clear? I think the gunna is very clear now. The part where you close and not close and stuff like that. I think it's very clear now, right? Okay. Now, let's slow down. We talked in the first lesson, what is a letter? We said, the scholars define the letter from the place of articulation, the physical instruments I use to emit the sound. But then a problem happened, which is that this thing alone sometimes cannot uniquely define the letter. I can do this and get two different letters. So we saw this in what? In Sin and Zay. We are in the same spot. But when I do it in two different ways, I get two different letters. So the same spot, aka the same place of articulation. What is place of articulation? The physical part that I, like the physical tongue and throat and all that I use to emit the sound. I have the same physical parts. What do I do? And we said the difference is vibration, right? We said the Sin, there's no vibration of the vocal cords. And then we said the Zay has vibrations of the vocal cord. We said S. I didn't change the place. My tongue is in the same spot. All I'm doing is, I'm adding vibration, I'm removing vibration. I'm adding vibration, I'm removing vibration. And the letter completely changes. Khalas? This is what properties are. Things that are added onto the letter or onto the place of articulation that affects the sound. Sometimes if I affect the sound to the point it becomes another letter completely, or sometimes I affect the sound that it becomes bad. Example. I can say ka, ka, ka. Right? I can say ka. Is this that's still qaf. Still the same letter. But it's really bad. That's not how the Arabs say ka. But it's still distinguishable as a letter. Qaf. But the sin and the zay, once I removed one of the attributes, the letter changed completely. It transformed into another letter. I added vibration. Zzz, I removed vibration. Zzz. It became a completely different letter. So sometimes the added part that I do onto the place of articulation can change the letter, and sometimes it just makes the letter a little weird. Okay? Now, okay. This part is the physical instruments. This is the first lesson, by the way. Right? So like if you get shocked by this, the reason I'm showing you this is because we talked about it before. But if you're confused, it's fine. This is the physical part, this is the properties. The next few lessons we're going to talk about essential properties, and the rest of Tajweed is transient attributes. What is this guy? We said we're going to talk about. So, we're going to talk about this part, and the rest of Tajweed, aka what people generally know as Tajweed, the elongation. Ya ayyuha, or min qabl. These rules is generally in this section. Okay? Today we're going to talk about what is essential properties. Okay. Everybody with me? Okay? So, I'm a scholar of Arabic. I want to tell the next generation how you pronounce the letter. I need to explain it in a conceptual way so it gets preserved through time. The first thing I did, I kept playing with my tongue. I kept doing that till what I did, I kept figuring out the places of articulation. But then I realized that just putting the place of articulation is not enough. I have to add something else. This is the something else we're adding right now. Okay? What is an essential property? An essential property is a property that is part of what the letter actually is, to the point that if the letter goes, if that property goes, the letter completely goes. Okay? The example of qaf that I made is not a good example. Why? Because the heaviness is actually part of what a qaf actually is. So although it's distinguishable, but we wouldn't say that's qaf still. So the ka, we wouldn't say it's qaf still, right? So the heaviness is actually part of what qaf actually is. To distinguish between that and that is a difficult thing, but generally, what a letter actually is not only where you hit it, it's also some of the added parts of what you do to the letter. And the best example we had is the sin and the zay. Okay? Make sense? So essential property, the property that is part of what the letter actually is. So if that property goes, the letter goes. Okay? Good? And I think the best example, the sin and the zay. Make sense? Okay. This is what we're going to do. Oh, sorry. Before that, I forgot. So, yeah, my computer just shut down. We'll take 2-minute break, 1 second. Let me fix that quickly. Apologies for that. Okay. So, essential properties. Some of them have opposites, and some of them don't have opposite. What does that mean? So, okay, what does that mean? It's gonna come through time. Okay, anyway, so some properties, if it's not in one, it's in the other. What does that mean? They're actually opposites, meaning that they answer a yes-no question. Does the letter have X? If yes, go here. If no, go there. Does the letter have Y? If yes, go here. If no, go there. That's the properties with opposites. They're two opposites. But here has no opposite. This property is for this letter alone. The Ra has this property. The Sheen has this property. It does not answer a yes/no question. And once you see the examples, it's going to be very clear. But the opposite, basically, if it's not in one, it has to be in the other. So the essential properties, there is 5 and 5 and 1 in the middle. It has to be in one of them. Every letter has to have one of the 5. No, like each of the 5 pairs. It has to have each of the 5 pairs. So for example here, if it's not a whisper, then it's a pair. If it's not lowering, then it's elevation. If it's not strength, then it's softness. It's one or the other, obviously, and there's one in the middle, obviously. But I'm saying the opposites mean that every letter has one of the pairs in each row. That's basically what it is, okay? So now, let's talk about the first property, the one we kept alluding to the whole time. We kept actually doing it. So that's why we're going to do it really quickly. We kept doing it every single time in the place of articulation, which is the first one. The question is asked like this. Does air flow with the letter? So when I pronounce the letter, does air flow? F. Okay. Now seen. S. Now zay. As. So now let's look at what the whisper is. The abundant flow of air caused by the weak dependence on the POA, place of articulation. We're going to talk about that part. But I want to focus, and the opening of the vocal cord causing a whispering sound. This is the one we've been doing the whole day, right? When we are differentiating between Sin and Zay, what did we do? Is there a vibration or not? The whole time I was doing it, I was actually referring to an actual property. That's the whole thing. Every time I was differentiating between two letters there, I was actually doing two properties. So let's give another example. Zal and Tha. Same place for articulation. The tip of the tongue with the incisors. So what do I do? Vibration right there. Now, remove vibration. Abundant flow of air. Abundant flow of air. So what happens is, hams or whisper is the abundant flow of air caused by the opening of the vocal cords. Okay? So we said the dal and the ta. We said the z, sin, and the z. We also said the dal and the ta, but it's harder to discern in that one, right? The dal and the ta, it's harder to figure out because the dal kind of closes. So you don't have time to see if the vocal cords vibrate or not. But there's no flow of air for sure. Is there flow of air? Even we do qalqala. Is there flow of air? Now, flow of air caused by the opening of the vocal cord. Vocal cord open, vocal cord closed. Right? Vocal cord open, vocal cord closed. Does that make sense? Okay. Weak dependence on the place for articulation we're going to talk about in the next property. It's going to be clear in the next property. Okay. Oh, what are the letters of air flowing? Again, it's airflow. But the easiest way to figure it out is using the vocal cords. The easiest way. That's why I always come back to the vocal cords. But the actual definition is that the whisper is abundant flow of air. Okay? Now let's look at it. F. Ah. F. Ah. The ha with me has vibration. I told my sheikh, I told him the ha with me, I actually have vibration when I do ha. What do I do? He told me there's actually in phonetics, there's two ways of actually doing ha. You can actually do ha with vibration, and you can do ha without vibration. Okay, I told him I can't do the ha without vibration. He told me it's fine. Okay, so the ha, if you try it, see, figure it out if you're doing with vibration or not. Okay, so that's the ha. Then you have the ash, no vibration, and obviously abundant flow of air. Shh. Okay, as, ek, at. Okay, فحثه شخص سكت. These are the letters of hams. Okay, make sense? What's that's the opposite? The imprisonment of most of the air because of the strong dependence of the place of articulation, vibration of just the opposite of everything, right? So, abundant air, not abundant air. Weak dependence, strong dependence. Opening of the vocal cord, vibration of the vocal cord. So the vocal cords, open and close, open and close, open and close. Okay? And obviously all letters other than فحثه شخص سكت. Okay? Make sense? Any questions? Easy? Okay. Now, so this is the first pair. The first pair is the hams versus the jahr. Okay? Okay. Now, actually let's do it this way. Now, from the place, now the second question for the next pair or the next three is, does sound flow? Question. Is there a letter that sound does not flow? Remember the places of articulation? And remember which letter would be kind of, the sound kind of closes. We had one today actually. What did we take today? We said the fa, the meme, the ba, the waw. So which letter actually flow does not go by? Sound does not flow. Huh? Ba. Why? What do I do when I do the ab? I actually need something else to get the sound out. Okay, can you give me another letter? Qaf. Ak. One more. Another letter where sound does not flow. Jim, right? What happened when Jim? The Jim actually closes the makhraj, right? Remember when we looked at the picture? The Jim actually closes completely. Ad. The Shin and the Ya, unfortunately I don't have the pictures here. I should have. Here, yeah, it's a good picture here. Look, the Qaf completely closes the makhraj. The Jim as well, when we took it, it closed the makhraj in the middle. But the Ya and the Shin didn't. So I think I have an example of, where is it? Okay, yeah, it's a bad example. Okay, I'll come back. But the for example, the ha, it actually does not close the throat. It just, there's an opening with the throat, right? So some letters close the makhraj completely where the sound does not flow, and some letters the sound kind of flows. Okay. So does sound flow? If the answer is no, then it's called shiddah. Shiddah. The blockage of the flow of sound due to the strong dependence of the makhraj, of the POA, place of articulation. Okay? What are the letters? ألف جيم دال قاف طاء باء كاف تاء. أجد قطن بكت. So somebody said the باء قاف and كاف right there. The جيم, the dal, the alif, all of these letters. Let's try it. أد. Okay, that's the جيم. تاء أد. Okay. So, I want to ask you a small question here, because it's a kind of contradiction here. Look here. The kaf and the ta here, we said sound does not flow, but we said air flows. Right? We said air flow in kaf, right? Remember that? Air flows here, right there. Kaf and ta. So question here. How can sound flow? How can sound not flow and air flow? We said the kaf, ak, kind of flows, but then when I say kaf, ak, sound does not flow. Ak. How? What is this? Sound flows, does not flow, air flows. Huh.
Closing the vocal cords
What am I? How am I? So I'm closing the vocal cords. Then what?
and just like saying it with your throat.
So if I close the vocal cords, air is not gonna push out, right?
Yeah.
So how does air flow when sound does not flow?
Nothing flows until you release like the makhraj.
Very good. It's actually in succession. So what do? I say ak, like qalqala. What do? Aqo. I close first, so sound and air does not flow at all. Then I do the hams. That's the actual way kaf is actually pronounced. Imagine kaf does not have air. How would I say kaf? Ak. I stopped. I have nothing else after it. And that's the next question. I have some airflow in kaf and ta, but no airflow here. Well, we figured out how to say these letters because of the airflow. What about the letters that have no airflow? I have a letter here that has no sound flow and no airflow. Yani, with airflow, I can release. I can say ak. But what does this guy? Do you see the problem? So again, with the kaf and ta, everything is blocked at first, then I release. Ak, at. That's why flow of air is important. Khalas? Make sense? قطب الجد, like the other ones, we said ajid, qatn, bakat, some of the letters, we have qalqala. That's why we have qalqala. Aqo, no air flow, by the way. Aqo, ajid. And we're going to talk about qalqala, its whole thing. It's going to have its whole thing, okay? So qalqala is the way I actually pronounce these letters. Because these letters, if I don't have qalqala, if I don't have this, what do I have? I have nothing. So I need that, what's it called? Whatever it's called. Last thing is, is the hamza. The hamza has no solution. You just stop. So that's why Arabs didn't like hamza. So Arabs, what they used to do, they used to kind of weasel around hamza. Sometimes they remove it completely. Sama. He won't say sama, he will say sama. Habib al-hamza. Sometimes yu'minun, what they will say? Yu'minun. This is called ibdal. So because he doesn't want to say yu'minun, it's hard. And stop. Yu'minun. I don't have I don't have qalqala. I have nothing. Hamza, no airflow, no sound flow. Actually, Hamza is closed, like you just closed. The vocal cords is closed. Because what is the place of articulation of Hamza? It's the vocal cords. It's actually the vocal cords. So once it closed, everything else is closed. So I say you, done. And then you say yu'minun. So what did the Arabs do? Sometimes they were just yu'minun. Sometimes remove the Hamza. And sometimes they will do something called tasheel or ishal. And we have only one example of this, not one. We have only one forced or one obligatory example in our qira'ah. What do we say? A'jamiyun. We're going to talk about this in, not this semester, one time inshallah. But the point is that they wouldn't say They don't want to say So it's like, am I going to say So what do you say? He kind of clips it. He kind of, steals it. He says Habib say no. So he says what? A'jamiyun. Right? So another example is al-ana. Right? So it's al-ana. So what they used to do? Al. They clip it as well. Does that make sense? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is, hard letters that block sound and air are very difficult to pronounce. So there's different ways of getting them off. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. I think yes.
So just to confirm, the axis of succession in Arabic is called qalqala?
The apple, that yes, it's called qalqala, yes. Okay? I'll explain this and then we're gonna close. This is the first time I don't finish a whole thing completely, but this is okay. So, does sound flow? This thing has a lot of details. We're gonna explain this and we're gonna finish up here because it's 7:30. Okay? Okay. We said, does sound flow? The answer is no. What do we have? We have shidda, the blockage of sound completely. We have the blockage of sound completely. We have example kaf, ta, qaf. All of these block the sound completely. Now, what if the sound does not get blocked? We have softness, the complete flow of sound when it passes through the POA, place of articulation. There's a small thing that I want to add, and it's something I learned. It's not in the book, so that's why I said Hazm's point here. Hazm's point. Hazm's point is not is an asterisk. You don't trust it fully. Okay? But basically it's not only the flow of sound. There's something about the tension or the pressure between that area and the sound. So when I say ha, the fact that there's a turbulence there is the reason this letter comes out. So I can look at it from two ways. I can say, oh, there is flow of sound, and just leave it there. Okay? Hazm, is there flow of sound? Yes, there is flow of sound. Alhamdulillah, khalas. Okay. I can look at it from another spot. How is the sound even created? Why does this movement, even though the movement does not close completely, like the hat does not close completely, how the fact that it does not close completely affect the sound? Well, because once you have the hat there, and there's a small area here, turbulence happens. That turbulence goes through and changes the sound. And you say, feel it. Another example of that, and that's the last example. Feel the, so ya is in the middle of the makhraj. It does not close, so it just goes like this. It does not close and make the sound blocked. You're just there. And the sound just flows there. How does the ya come about? Well, it's because the pressure. You say ay, and put pressure. You'll find that there is some turbulence, right? Does that make sense? That turbulence creates the sound. right? Even though it's not completely closed, still the fact that I moved it up and caused that turbulence creates a new sound. خلاص? That's another small tidbit. Like, it's very important to understand how are sounds emitted. Why? Why is this all important? Because we said, like every time we say, you have three things. You have the feeling, you have the sound, you have the description. If you have the feeling down, and you know how the letter should feel like in your mouth, and you know whatever feeling corresponds to what sound, and what feeling and sound correspond to what description, you're good. You can hear someone pronouncing incorrectly and know exactly where is he putting his tongue. Why? Because you have this bijection between the sound and the description. You know how it feels like. That's the whole point. That's why I'm telling you, when you understand that the turbulence is the reason why the sound is emitted, then you're going to understand how it feels like to get the sound correctly. You're going to feel the turbulence itself. Okay? Does that make sense? I did a lot of talking, so I'm going to tell you what's the most important thing you need to remember. Fa, inner lip, incisor. That's it. Nothing else. Wow, ooh, lips only, and go full. That's it. Ba and mim, close. Properties, essential properties. Abundant flow of air, vocal cords open, imprisonment of air, vocal cord vibration. Does sound flow? No. Why? The makhraj, the place of articulation, is closed. Like the qaf, see? Qaf closes the makhraj, sound tries to come about. It's closed. Well, how do I say them if it's closed? You block first, then you release with air. Or you do qalqala, or you cry. Does sound flow? Yes, I'm happy. There's nothing else. Like, if sound flows, khalas, yani, there's no problem. Khalas? So, if sound does not flow, shiddah, hard, strength. If it flows, the letter is soft. Next class, there's something in between. And we're going to explain why they're in between, okay? Does that make sense? So we finished fa, waw, ba, mim, and we finished one property, okay? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.